I'm standing in Marcus Thornhill's private elevator, watching the numbers climb toward the penthouse, 47, 48, 49, and I'm holding a syringe filled with enough sedative to kill him. My hands are shaking so badly I nearly drop it. Through the polished gold mirror, I can see my reflection. A 32-year-old hospice nurse in scrubs that cost $19,999, about to commit murder for $2.3 million. The elevator dings. 50th floor. I have 60 seconds before those doors open, and I still don't know if I can do it. 6 months earlier, I was a completely different person. My name is Sarah Chen, and I'd spent 8 years working at Mercy General's hospice wing, helping people die with dignity. I made $68,000 a year. I lived in a studio apartment in Queens. I took the subway everywhere. I was, by all measures, financially stable and morally sound. Then my sister Emma called me at 2:47 a.m. on a Tuesday. "Sarah, it's Jake." Her voice was pure panic. He stopped breathing. "The ambulance is... they're doing CPR right now, but..." Jake was her 7-year-old son, my nephew, the kid who called me Aunt Sarsair and drew me pictures of dinosaurs wearing nurse hats. Viral meningitis. That's what the doctor said when they finally stabilized him at Mount Sinai. But the infection had caused catastrophic brain swelling. He needed immediate surgery, a complex procedure to relieve the pressure and remove damaged tissue. Without it, he'd die within 72 hours. The surgeon's name was Dr. Patricia Valdez. She sat us down in a consultation room with abstract art that probably cost more than my car. "The surgery is experimental," she said, her voice clinical but not unkind. "Jake would be only the 4th pediatric patient we've attempted this on. The success rate is approximately 60%. But without it, his survival rate is 0. Emma grabbed my hand so hard I felt my bones compress. "How much?" "With insurance, your out-of-pocket will be $340,000. The number hung in the air like a guillotine blade. Emma was a middle school teacher. Her husband had left 2 years ago. She had $4,000 in savings. I had maybe $12,000. We liquidated everything, sold her car, my car, emptied retirement accounts, took the tax penalties. We borrowed from every friend and family member who would listen. Emma's principal started a GoFundMe that raised $28,000. We got to $67,000. Dr. Valdez gave us 48 hours to come up with the rest, or Jake would be transferred to a standard care facility to make him comfortable. Those were her exact words, make him comfortable, while he died. I didn't sleep those 48 hours. I called every charity, every foundation, every medical assistance program. I begged hospitals for payment plans. I contacted news stations hoping they'd run Jake's story. Nothing. Everything took weeks to process, and we had 43 hours left. 37 hours left. 22 hours left. I was sitting in the hospital cafeteria, staring at cold coffee, when someone sat down across from me. He was maybe 65, silver-haired, wearing a suit that whispered money in a language I didn't speak. Rolex Daytona on his wrist. I recognized it because a patient's son had worn one once and mentioned it cost $45,000. "You're Sarah Chen," he said. Not a question. I looked up, confused. "Do I know you?" "No, but I know you. I've been watching you make phone calls for the last 6 hours." He slid a business card across the table. Heavy cardstock, embossed lettering, Marcus Thornhill, private equity. "I don't have time for... Your nephew needs $273,000 by tomorrow at 6 p.m. or he dies." Marcus Thornhill leaned forward. "I can give you $2.3 million right now. Wire transfer to any account you want. Enough for his surgery, his recovery, his future care, college fund, everything." My brain couldn't process what he was saying. "What's the catch?" "I need a private nurse. Someone with hospice experience. Someone who understands end-of-life care and medication protocols." His eyes were pale blue, almost colorless. "Someone who's desperate enough to not ask too many questions." "I don't understand." "Yes, you do." He stood up. "The job pays $2.3 million for approximately 6 months of work. You'll live in my penthouse, provide round-the-clock care, follow my exact instructions regarding medication and treatment protocols. At the end of 6 months, you walk away with the money and we never speak again. Who are you taking care of?" "Myself," he said. I have stage 4 pancreatic cancer. 9 months to live, maybe less. I want to die at home on my own terms with someone competent who won't judge me or try to talk me into experimental treatments I don't want. It sounded almost reasonable. Almost. Why me? Because you're a good nurse with an excellent record. Because you're desperate. Because people who are desperate don't refuse $2.3 million. He put another card on the table. This one had an address. Come to this location tomorrow at 10 a.m. Bring your nursing credentials. If you're there, you accept. If not, I'll find someone else, and your nephew will die. He walked away. I sat there holding those 2 cards, feeling like I'd just been offered a deal with the devil, except I couldn't see the horns. Emma was with Jake when I got back to his room. He was unconscious, hooked up to so many machines he looked like a science experiment, his little chest rising and falling, 15 hours left before the deadline. I found the money, I whispered. Emma's head snapped up. What? How? A private nursing job. 1 client, 6 months. It pays enough for everything. Sarah, that's insane. What kind of job pays? The kind that saves Jake's life. I watched her face as she processed this, watched the questions form and die on her lips, watched her look at her son, then back at me. Is it legal? I think so. Is it dangerous? I don't know. But you're going to do it. Yes. She started crying. Not grateful tears, guilty ones. I can't let you. You're not letting me do anything. I'm choosing this. Jake is choosing this, even if he doesn't know it. I took her hand. Whatever happens, he lives. That's what matters. The next morning at 9:47 a.m., I stood outside a building on Park Avenue that looked like it ate other buildings for breakfast. The doorman wore white gloves. The lobby had a chandelier that could probably fund a small country. Marcus Thornhill met me in the private elevator. He scanned my credentials, handed them back, and pressed a button marked PH. The rules are simple, he said as we ascended. You live here. You don't leave except for supply runs, which will be approved in advance. You administer my medications on schedule. You monitor my symptoms. You keep me comfortable. You tell absolutely no one where you are or what you're doing. What about your family? I have a daughter, Victoria. She's complicated. She doesn't know I'm dying, and I intend to keep it that way until the very end. If she contacts you, you tell her I'm traveling. Why don't you want her to know? The elevator stopped. The doors opened onto a penthouse that looked like it had been decorated by someone who wanted everyone to know they were richer than God. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Central Park. Art that I recognized from museum field trips. A grand piano no one probably played. Because, Marcus said, walking toward the master bedroom, Victoria would do exactly what you're about to wonder if you should do. She'd try to save me. She'd insist on treatments that would give me 3 more months of agony for a 2% survival rate. She'd make my death about her grief instead of my dignity. I won't allow that. He opened a door to reveal a bedroom that had been converted into a medical suite. Hospital bed, IV stands, monitoring equipment, medication refrigerator. This is where I'll die, he said simply. Your job is to make sure it happens the way I want it to. And how is that? He turned to look at me, and I saw something in his face that I recognized from 8 years in hospice. Not fear, not sadness, just tiredness. The bone-deep exhaustion of someone who's fought enough. Peacefully, painlessly, on a timeline I control. He handed me a tablet. Wire transfer instructions. $2.3 million will be in your account by noon. Jake's surgery will be fully paid for by 2 p.m. You have my word. Why would you keep your word? Because I'm dying, Ms. Chen. I'm a lot of things. Ruthless, calculating, manipulative. But I'm not going to spend my last months on Earth dealing with a nurse who resents me. The money is real. The job is real. I keep my promises because it's easier than the alternative. I looked at the tablet, at the account number that was supposedly mine, at the amount $2,300,000. I need to make a phone call. Of course, I called the hospital. Spoke to Dr. Valdez's office. They confirmed that Jake's surgery had been fully paid for by an anonymous donor, scheduled for tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. Marcus had paid before I'd even agreed. I hung up. Why? I asked. Why pay before you knew I'd say yes? Because you were always going to say yes. The money was never the question. He sat down on the edge of the hospital bed, suddenly looking much older. The question was whether you could live with yourself afterward. But that's not my problem. That's yours. The first week was almost normal. I administered morphine on schedule, monitored his vitals, kept him comfortable as the cancer ate through his pancreas. He slept 18 hours a day, woke to sip water and take pills, then slept again. Jake's surgery went perfectly. Dr. Valdez called it a miracle. Emma sent me pictures of him drawing dinosaurs again, and I cried in Marcus Thornhill's $8 million penthouse bathroom. Week 2, Marcus started talking more. He was a private equity billionaire. That's what I learned. He'd made his fortune by buying struggling companies, gutting them and selling them for parts. 30,000 jobs eliminated over 40 years. He said this the way someone might mention they'd worked in accounting. Do you feel guilty about it? I asked one night while changing his IV bag. No, should I? 30,000 people lost their jobs. 30,000 people worked for failing companies. I didn't create the failure. I just profited from it. He looked at me with those colorless eyes. You think that makes me a monster? I think it makes you someone who valued money over people. And you're different? You're here for the money, Ms. Chen. You didn't take this job because you care about my dignity or my peaceful death. You took it because I paid you more money than you'd make in 30 years. We're the same. We're not the same. No? Then leave, walk away, give the money back. He smiled, and it was cruel. But you won't, because Jake needs follow-up care, because Emma needs to not lose her house, because you've already spent that money in your head 1,000 different ways. You're bought, just like everyone else I've ever bought. The only difference is the price. I wanted to throw the IV bag at his face. Instead, I finished my work and left the room. That night, I lay in the guest bedroom, which was bigger than my entire old apartment, and wondered if he was right. Week 3, Victoria showed up. I heard the elevator ding while I was in the kitchen preparing Marcus's medications. A woman strode in wearing a Chanel suit and fury like a second skin. She was maybe 40, with her father's pale eyes and a jawline that could cut glass. "Who the hell are you?" she demanded. "I'm Sarah, your father's nurse." Nurse? Why does he need a nurse? Where is he? Marcus appeared in the bedroom doorway, looking frailer than I'd seen him but still commanding. Victoria. This is unexpected. You've been dodging my calls for 3 weeks. Your secretary said you were traveling, but your doorman just told me you haven't left the building in a month. She looked between us. What's going on? I have the flu. Sarah is helping me recover. The flu doesn't require a live-in nurse. Victoria's eyes narrowed. What aren't you telling me? Victoria, I'm fine. Go back to work. No. She pulled out her phone. I'm calling Dr. Morrison right now, and I have pancreatic cancer, Marcus said flatly. Stage 4. 9 months to live, maybe less. I didn't tell you because I don't want your hysteria or your attempts to fix something that cannot be fixed. Now you know. Leave. The silence was devastating. Victoria's face went through a series of expressions: shock, denial, grief, and then something harder. How long have you known? 4 months. 4 months. You've known for 4 months and didn't tell me. Correct. I'm your daughter. And I'm your father. Which means I get to decide how I die, and I've decided I don't want you involved. Victoria turned to me, and I saw something dangerous in her expression. What are you giving him? Standard hospice protocol, morphine for pain, anti-nausea medications. Show me. Victoria, Marcus started. Show me the medications. Now. I hesitated, looked at Marcus. He nodded slightly. I brought out the medication log, the prescription bottles, everything. Victoria examined each one with the intensity of someone looking for poison. She pulled out her phone and started taking pictures. These are legitimate, she finally said, sounding almost disappointed. How much is he paying you? That's between your father and me. Ballpark. Victoria, enough. 1 million? 2 million? She stepped closer. Let me tell you something about my father. He doesn't do anything without a reason. If he's paying you a fortune to be his private nurse, there's something he's not telling me. There's always something he's not telling anyone. She left without saying goodbye. Marcus sank into a chair. That went well. She's going to investigate me. Of course she is. She's my daughter. Paranoia is genetic. He looked tired again. Don't worry. Your contract is airtight. She can't touch you legally. That's not what I'm worried about. Week 5, Marcus started having bad days. Days where the pain medication barely touched the agony. Days where he vomited blood and begged me to give him more morphine than the prescription allowed. Please, he whispered one night, his voice broken. Just a little more. Just enough to make it stop. I can't. It's not safe. I'm dying anyway. What difference does it make? The difference is I'm a nurse, not a killer. Aren't you, though? He looked at me with eyes full of pain. What's the functional difference between letting someone suffer and ending that suffering? Both result in the same outcome eventually. One is legal and ethical. The other is murder. Only because we decided it was. Arbitrary lines drawn by people who've never had stage 4 cancer eating them from the inside. He grabbed my wrist. Sarah, please. I'm begging you. I've never begged for anything in my life, but I'm begging you now. I can't do this anymore. I extracted my wrist gently. I'll call Dr. Morrison about adjusting your dosage. Coward. Maybe he was right. Dr. Morrison approved a higher dosage. It helped, but Marcus was deteriorating fast now. He slept 20 hours a day, stopped eating solid food. His skin turned the color of old paper. Victoria visited twice more. Each time she examined his medications, his medical equipment, me, looking for something wrong, some evidence of malfeasance. She never found anything because there was nothing to find. But I could see the calculation in her eyes. She was waiting for something. Week 7, Marcus handed me a syringe. What is this? I asked. Concentrated morphine sulfate, enough to stop my heart in approximately 3 minutes. His voice was matter of fact. I want you to give it to me when I tell you to. No. I'm not asking, Ms. Chen, I'm telling you. You work for me. This is the job. The job is hospice care, not assisted suicide. The job is whatever I say it is. And I'm saying that when the pain becomes unbearable, when there's no dignity left, when I'm ready to go, you'll give me this, and I'll die peacefully instead of drowning in my own fluids over the course of days or weeks. I'll go to prison. No, you won't. I've had lawyers prepare everything. There's a document that takes full responsibility, absolves you completely, and provides video evidence of my consent. It's airtight. You'll be protected. Why me? Why not just do it yourself? Because I might not be physically capable when the time comes. Because I need someone I can trust to follow through. He looked at me. Because I paid you $2.3 million, and this is what that money was actually for. There it was. The horns I'd been looking for 6 months ago. You lied. You said this was standard hospice care. I said you'd keep me comfortable and help me die on my terms. I never specified how. He pushed the syringe toward me. This is your job, Sarah. This is what you agreed to. I never agreed to murder. Call it whatever you want. The money's already in your account. Jake's already had his surgery. Emma's house is already secure. You've already been bought. Now deliver what you were paid for. I wanted to throw the syringe in his face. Instead, I took it with shaking hands and put it in the medication refrigerator. I haven't agreed to anything, I said. You took the syringe. That's agreement enough. Week 8, Marcus fell into what Dr. Morrison called the final decline. He was barely conscious. The cancer had spread to his liver, his lungs, everywhere. He could barely speak. When he did, it was mostly moaning in pain. I upped his morphine to the maximum allowed dosage. It wasn't enough. Victoria came by and saw him. She didn't say anything, just stood in the doorway for 5 minutes watching her father die by inches. Then she looked at me. How much longer? Days, maybe a week. Is he in pain? Yes. Can you give him more medication? I'm already giving him the maximum legal dosage. Something passed across her face. Understanding, maybe. Or permission. I see. She left. That night, Marcus woke up lucid for the first time in 2 days. He grabbed my hand with surprising strength. Now, he whispered. Please. Now. Marcus, I'm begging you. I can't do this anymore. It hurts so much. Everything hurts. Please, please, Sarah, show me mercy. I looked at this man, this billionaire who'd bought me, manipulated me, set this entire trap, and all I could see was a human being in agony, begging for relief. I thought about Jake, who was alive because of Marcus's money, about Emma, who wasn't losing her house, about myself, who had financial security for the first time in my life. I thought about the 30,000 people who'd lost their jobs, about the companies Marcus had gutted, about the ruthless way he'd lived his life. I thought about mercy. I walked to the medication refrigerator and took out the syringe, which brings me to now. Standing in his private elevator, holding this syringe, watching the numbers climb. 47, 48, 49. The elevator dings, the doors open. I step into the penthouse, and Victoria is sitting in the living room. I knew it, she says, standing up. I knew there was something wrong. I've been watching the medication logs, the prescription orders. You've been preparing to kill him. Your father is dying. My father is being murdered. There's a difference. She pulls out her phone. I've already contacted the police. They'll be here in 10 minutes. You're going to prison, and I'm going to make sure. Victoria. Marcus's voice from the bedroom, weak but clear. Come here. She hesitates, then walks to the bedroom. I follow. Marcus is propped up in bed, looking more alert than he has in days. He must have been saving his energy for this. You called the police, he says. Yes. To stop her from killing you. I asked her to kill me. Silence. What? Victoria whispers. I'm in agony. Every breath is torture. I'm ready to die. And I asked Sarah to help me do it peacefully. This is my choice. No, you're not thinking clearly. The medication is the only thing keeping me from screaming 24 hours a day. I am completely lucid, and I am telling you that I want to die. Today. Now. On my terms. Dad, please. Victoria, listen to me. His voice softens. I know I've been a terrible father. I know I chose work over you, money over relationships, winning over everything else. I know I'm dying exactly how I lived, alone except for someone I paid to be here. And I know you want more time to what? Fix our relationship? Make peace? Tell me you love me? Yes, she says, crying now. Yes, all of that. We've had 40 years. If we were going to fix it, we would have. I don't need deathbed redemption, and I don't want to spend my last days pretending I was someone I wasn't. He pauses, wincing in pain. But I can give you one thing. I can show you who I really was. Completely, honestly, without illusions. I was a man who hurt people for profit and didn't care. I was your father who failed you in every meaningful way. And now I'm a dying man who wants mercy. That's the truth. That's all of it. No redemption arc, just honesty. I don't accept that. You don't have to. But you can't stop it either. Cancel the police. Let me do this my way. Or don't. And watch me suffer for another week before dying anyway. Your choice. Victoria looks at me, at her father, at the syringe in my hand. I hate you, she whispers. I know, Marcus says, but let me go anyway. She stands there for what feels like an hour. Then she pulls out her phone and cancels the police call. I want to stay, she says. No, I'm staying. If you're going to do this, I'm staying. Marcus looks at me. I look at Victoria. She sits down in the chair by the bed. Do it, Marcus says to me. My hands are shaking again. I've administered thousands of medications in my career, but I've never administered death. Sarah, Marcus says gently, You're not a killer. You're a nurse showing mercy to a dying patient who's in unbearable pain. This is end-of-life care. This is what you've been doing for 8 years. The only difference is I'm choosing the moment instead of letting the cancer choose it for me. That's a big difference. Is it? Really? He smiles slightly. I'm dying today whether you give me that injection or not. The only question is whether I die peacefully or in agony. You're good at your job, Sarah. Finish it. I think about Jake, about mercy, about what it means to be human when the rules don't fit the situation. I inject the morphine into his IV line. Marcus closes his eyes. His breathing slows. Victoria holds his hand. Thank you, he whispers. And then, so quiet, I almost miss it. I'm sorry for all of it. He dies at 3:47 p.m. on a Tuesday afternoon. Victoria stays for 20 minutes, crying silently. Then she stands up. He left you something, she says, her voice hollow. In his will. An additional $5 million. He wanted you to open a nonprofit. Free medical care for families facing impossible medical bills. He called it the Second Chance Foundation. What? There's a letter, he wrote it a month ago. She hands me an envelope. He said you'd know what to do with it. She leaves. I open the letter with trembling hands. Sarah, if you're reading this, you did what I asked. Thank you. I know it cost you something to do it. Not legally, but morally. That weight is real, and I'm sorry for putting it on you. I told you we were the same, both willing to compromise our ethics for money. I was wrong. You compromised your ethics for love, for your nephew, for your sister. That's different. That's better. The money I gave you for Jake was blood money, earned by destroying lives and companies. But you used it to save a life. You transformed it. That's alchemy, Sarah. That's redemption, even if it's not mine. The additional $5 million is for the foundation. Use it to help other families facing what you faced. Make impossible medical bills possible. Save the Jakes who don't have an aunt desperate enough to make a deal with someone like me. I spent 40 years proving that money is power. Prove me wrong. Show that mercy is stronger. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I don't deserve it. But I'm asking you to take everything I was, the ruthlessness, the money, the manipulation, and transform it into something good. That's the only legacy worth having. Thank you for helping me die with dignity. Now help other people live with it. Marcus. That was 4 years ago. The Second Chance Foundation has helped 127 families pay for life-saving medical treatments. We've covered experimental surgeries, cancer treatments, emergency procedures that insurance denied. We've saved 127 lives with Marcus Thornhill's blood money. Jake is 11 now. He wants to be a doctor. Emma still doesn't know the full story of where the money came from, just that I took a high-paying private nursing job. I let her believe that. Victoria and I have coffee once a month. We're not friends exactly, but we're something. Two people connected by the complicated death of a complicated man. I still have nightmares about that syringe. About whether what I did was mercy or murder. About whether Marcus manipulated me into killing him, or gave me an impossible gift. About whether I'm a good person who did a bad thing or a bad person who tells herself she had no choice. The truth is probably both, or neither, or something else entirely. But every time I get a call from a desperate parent whose child needs surgery they can't afford, every time I can say, we'll cover it, every time I transform Marcus Thornhill's blood money into a life saved, I think maybe he was right. Maybe mercy is stronger than money. Maybe redemption isn't about the person who needs it most. Maybe it's about what comes after. Maybe that's enough.